Danae, the combination of your distraction and Jonathan's inability not to comment on everything in front of him is just the worst.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Aaron.
No, it's all right. I'm just trying to keep us on track here.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dyser, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
And Danae Hughes.
On Discord.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Speaking of Discord, we have let our members know, our Sin Club members on Discord know that we may be doing a little bit of a live video check-in for them today during the comment section. So that's going to be fun. A little bit of something new. Another reason maybe to check out the Sin Club membership over at Patreon.
Or no one will come.
Or no one will come, and there'll be crickets, and we'll all feel terrible about ourselves.
If that happens, I will just share the link to our Discord Behind the Sins channel.
We'll just make up Suzie.
Suzie.
Oh.
Suzie.
Oddly, Danae has another question.
Our big fan, Suzie, has another question. That'd be hilarious. We're making up names, but we just use the same one anyway. We're confident enough to just make it up, but not confident enough to pretend like there's more than one person.
I'm going to be disappointed if there isn't a day where everyone has a Suzie tag on Discord.
That's right.
Like that day everybody was Chris.
Yeah.
We do love listening to your guys' suggestions, though, and us doing some type of a live element has been heard. So yeah, this is us starting to test that out. You can find out more at patreon.com/CinemaSins.
We're excited to get there, but we got some stuff to go through. First, we're going to kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at videos from the week, the process of sending them, and how we felt about the show, movie, commercial, whatever in general. I did think it was funny last week. I did a thing because I've noticed how much I say during the intros. So during one of the intros last week, I just threw it in after like every word. I don't know if you remember this. I was like, look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, and how we felt about like that kind of thing. And I got a private message from somebody who was like, listen, I don't want to but your uhs are really starting. I was like, no, that one was on purpose. But yes, I do know that is one of my verbal crutches. So
Oh no, I didn't notice.
Yeah, well, that's a good sign, I think. You just put up with my knows and uhs and other verbal crutches. But once you know them,
so frustrating.
It is frustrating because you do hear it in yourself, and you're just like, stop doing that. And you just can't.
Because there's a difference between sayings that you like lean into a lot.
Sure.
For example, fascinating. For example,
right.
That's different.
Or very nice. Very nice is another one I say all the time. Very nice.
I think I saw Suzie was complaining about that. Fucking Suzie, man.
You couldn't even make it through.
Jonathan's like, listen, I got this call back all loaded up, man. I'm going to shoot it as soon as I get a chance.
That's Jonathan's thing. He just does callbacks the entire episode.
To stuff you may or may not have heard. Who knows?
Well, that actually was at the beginning of the show.
Yes, Jonathan, we know. It was like 3 minutes ago.
Hey, look, you guys sometimes don't remember.
It's true. It is true. Let's get into commercial sins. Rocket Mortgage, Jason Momoa's Super Bowl commercial from recently is the one we did this week. Jeremy wrote on this one. And I know nothing about Rocket Mortgage, and I don't know that I care to. I assume it's some sort of lending company that wants to get you a lower interest rate on your home mortgage. But
sure.
Yeah, I think that's what they're probably doing. So I think we can probably just go into talking about the video. Unless you guys want to talk about home mortgages, we can do that for sure.
Well, I mean, it is our style to talk about everything to do with a music video.
It is a good
time
to refinance. Interest rates are low right now.
Quicken Loans apparently owns. Rocket Mortgage. But yeah, it is a good time. My wife and I are refinancing.
It really is. Interest rates are really low right now. You may want to check with your mortgage provider about doing some refi. So, so there
Hold
you
on,
go.
I'm texting my husband. Can we check on interest rates today?
Yeah, no, legit. So let's get into the video itself. This commercial, I remember this airing, and it's one of those I just really enjoyed for the visual aspect of it. Just the idea that the whole appearance thing was a put on with him, taking off the muscles, taking off the lips, taking off the hairpiece, all that kind of stuff. It was fun. It was fun visually. It was interesting to watch. I enjoyed it on that level.
And it actually, from special effects, I mean, it looks a lot better. Like, because I was thinking back to like Captain America, the first Captain America movie, and how weird that looked on Chris Evans, and but it looked legit, like that was really his arm.
Yeah,
I remember thinking that when it came out, but then watching it back, I was more alarmed. The arm one was good because that one was actually a prop, and props are, to me, oftentimes look better than CGI.
Absolutely,
right. Practical effects.
That's probably why that looked. Yeah,
I think that's why I like the miniatures of Lord of the Rings so much. Because there's just something about something physical that, I don't know, you can just sort of tell instinctively. Well, I don't quite understand how that works, but CGI is getting better. But then when you see his face, and I thought that looked a little bit strange now.
Oh, I gotcha. No, you're probably right about that. No,
the face specifically, but the arm thing was cool.
Chris has often said that he'll take a horrible physical effect over CGI because at least the physical effect is real. And it's like, it's something you can touch, right? It's, there's something, time was put into that, I guess. Well, time's put into CGI. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, in either case, the moment you can tell it's fake, it's distracting. Right? Like that's, if a digital effect is doing its job, you don't even know it's a digital effect. If a practical effect is doing its job, you don't really think about it being a practical effect. So in that case, I think digital effects are going to continue, especially in the future, to have the upper hand in many ways, because I think they will be less noticeable than practical effects can be. Yeah, so that's, I think, why we're seeing more and more of them. But you're absolutely right. There are times when a practical effect just can't be matched, and I think that's important to remember.
Did you guys watch the making of this commercial?
No.
I really liked that. I don't remember watching it multiple times or anything. It came out after the commercial came out and was really popular, and they just sort of showed a little bit of how it was done. That there was an actor, obviously, who has just long, skinny arms that was wearing the beefy muscle and tore it away. And they sort of superimposed different elements of his body with Jason's. And it's so interesting to see a beanpole person that's built like a beanpole next to a beefy Aquaman, and like how they merge them together. And I liked this commercial when it came out because it played with the idea of beauty again. Maybe it's a little bit insane in that way, but is Jason still beautiful even if he's not as tall and really slender, and has balding hair? The answer is yes. He's still
I was going to say,
beautiful.
I like how when you were talking about bodies and you were like, Jason's. Like you said that like you had a thought in your head as you were.
Yeah, I do.
I learned how to spell Momoa from this commercial. I always thought it was M.A. because I guess I've never had to spell his name before. Which is not weird, because he did a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes. No, it's Momoa.
Wow.
M-O-M-O-A.
I spelled it wrong in our notes. So yeah, I've always spelled it M-A. M-O. Nice. Momoa.
However, the Sins video pointing out the difficulties with the house itself is highlight.
Yeah. Get into it, Danae. What are some of your favorite sins?
I loved all the guitar sins.
Yeah, it's so great.
And pointing out the different lamps and kind of pausing and shifting around the room. This is the perfect quick example of what we do. I almost feel that if someone were to want to know what CinemaSins is about and you're a little leery of sending them directly to the main channel, Commercial Sins is a bite-sized option.
Yeah.
Something that they could quickly watch and sort of just get a tone, get a vibe. I love Chris's delivery. I think he's doing a really, really good job as the narrator. I mean, he's been part of the voice that's been writing for the channel from the beginning. Mm-hmm. We just haven't heard his voice. And so I'm really enjoying hearing his delivery of it. But like, for example, when they first, when he rips the arm off And he's like, oh, God. And you assume that this sin is going to be a reaction to ripping an arm off, but it's all about guitars. I just thought that was really clever.
No, that's what I was going to say. I think you see the structure of these scripts in a video like this, that there actually is structure to these things. And so every time he does something, it's an oh my God, but it's about something.
Right. It
in the
shifts it a little
background.
bit.
Yeah.
We're trying to have fun.
Yeah.
The other one that I really enjoyed was the replacing the rocket mortgage with the savage species and you'll be mounted doggy style. Why didn't they go with this as their slogan?
Since they've got
that was really
Drago.
funny.
Yeah. Jonathan, what about you?
I mean, yeah, the same stuff Danae was talking about. I did like the more exposed wood in this house than my teenage bedroom. I thought was very fitting, and that was the only thing I had that hadn't been mentioned. So
You guys mentioned what I did. I did have the final guitar sin just as kind of a wrap up the ideas. My point is that Momoa's house is a house where stringed instruments go to be exposed daily to dust and sunlight and other contaminants. Like the narrator can't get over it. And then I did also want to mention, why is Jason Momoa so rookist and bishopist? It's just one of those little observations where it's like, why do you just have the 3 chess pieces, dude? Like, where are the other chess pieces? Like that.
Yeah, man, where are they?
That's just so. I love that kind of stuff. That's really fun for me.
Rude.
Let's move on to TV sins. We have another WandaVision, breaking the fourth wall. This was a Dicer Hughes script. Danae and I writing on this one, and this was the Malcolm in the Middle episode. Again, thank you for our patience, or thank you for your patience. Thank you for our patience.
this was the
really.
Modern Family episode, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is correct. We already did the Malcolm in the Middle
Or The Office or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
Modern Family during the show. The credits is very much kind of like The Office, Parks and Rec is in there a little bit, but just that era of mockumentary TV show kind of style. And
this episode begins the day after Wanda expanded the boundaries of the Hex to save Vision. It also is. So it's after the Halloween episode.
Now, all three of us exist in a world where we have seen every episode of the season now. We all watched the finale this morning. So, these are interesting times to not be talking about that part of WandaVision, but to be talking about this episode of WandaVision.
Yeah.
So
We know what it all means.
And in this episode,
Or
we
do
see
we?
The children, so they started to experiment with their superpowers last time. And in this episode, we just shift back into kind of like normal life without really referencing what happened the previous night, which I'm glad we found time to sin. But essentially here, Wanda is by herself because Vision is gone. So it's very much like that solo parent thing. And then you've got this situation sort of happening with all the people that are at the, circus? Yeah, carnival circus kind of thing.
Circus, yeah.
With Vision trying to get back to the middle of town to get back home, and him continuing to kind of try to figure that out, and then the reveal of, and again, spoilers. You guys know this is spoiler talk. The reveal of Monica
Rambeau.
Monica's superpowers are coming into play, and then the reveal of Agatha happens in this episode as
It was
well.
Agatha all along.
Who's been messing up everything?
So I was humming that song after watching this episode, and I had to constantly stop myself from saying the name Agatha because my husband hadn't watched yet, and I was really trying not to spoil him on anything.
Same exact experience in my house with my wife.
it was so
same
hard.
exact experience.
That's so funny. And I almost feel like Catherine Hahn was cast just for that because she's like so good at
She
the,
slays
I
it.
don't know.
She slays
Whatever you
it.
want to call that. Yeah.
She's so
just
great.
Amazing.
She's so great.
I really love her in this show.
It is the final of the sitcom format episodes, which we kind of knew. We kind of assumed that the last two would completely drop that, and so yeah,
And they do.
and I loved those formats, and I really
did too.
enjoyed the calls on those kind of shows, the breaking of the fourth wall with the person recording it, just all that kind of fun stuff.
It's
I
so
love
clever.
Vision being like, why am I talking to you?
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
am I doing? I got to go
Yeah.
find Wanda.
It's such a cleverly done show in this way where you realize at this point, and also there's all this sprinkling in of more serious stuff happening, but you really know now this is a Marvel Universe cinematic experience set the tone of serial like being delivered to you every week that is leading to something more that is world building. This is not a show that's going to continue in this fun format. This is a storytelling moment that shifts fully into, we're back in the Marvel Universe adventure. We're in the now time. Mysteries are being solved. Answers are coming to us. And it's just charging towards the finish line. And I have to tell you, though, I went back, I think it was last weekend, I went back with my husband and watched WandaVision from the beginning. And I just had this nostalgia experience, even though this is all happening right now and we're watching WandaVision right now. Just the feeling that I had watching the first episode and having such a good time with it being this mimicry of Dick Van Dyke, and then the next one being Bewitched, and just this fun of this lightheartedness of showing us these different ages and eras of sitcoms. I kind of felt a little bit like, oh, I missed that. That was a lot of fun. And they did such a good job. And my husband, when he was watching it, he was laughing at the sitcom jokes, you know, when the fake laughter comes up from the audience. He was really enjoying himself because he is also a sitcom kid. Like, he was raised in front of a TV watching sitcoms. And so he was genuinely enjoying himself. And now that it's getting more serious, it's like, oh yeah, that's what this is about. This is not about Marvel making a TV show about TV shows. This is about Wanda and her family and what that means in the greater universe of Marvel.
Yeah, you're really getting a sense at how story, like MCU forward these shows are going to be with WandaVision. You know, like that it really, and they all could be different, and they all will be different, I'm sure. And there will be, I would guess, eventually a show that's more like, I think of like What If that they've announced, you know?
Well, I think like the Loki show is just going to be when he disappears in, what is that, Infinity War?
Right.
Maybe it's Endgame. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Whenever that scene is where he disappears, we're going to find out where he went.
Alternate
Like, that's
timeline Loki kind of thing. And maybe that's just a one-off that really isn't MCU forward.
Yeah.
But we're getting a sense of what they can do with these shows if they want them to be really tied in to the MCU. And, it'll be interesting to see how each show deals with that. So we're starting to get the impression here as this, we get to the final 3 episodes. Let's get into the video itself. Jonathan, since you didn't write on this one, what were some of your favorite sins?
I loved the wordplay with when thinking about choices, you surely had more than uno.
Thank you.
I like who wakes up looking this good in its vision, I don't know.
Oh my God. He is so handsome.
Paul Bettany, man. Whew.
Paul Bettany, definitely.
I'm
But you're
attracted
saying
to people.
You're saying as
Weird.
Vision, like you'd be.
I'd be
hitting that,
down for
is
some
what you're
Android love if that was my option.
Hidden Mickeys, which is just as any Disney fan,
Yep.
that's just fun. And is the price is right sin true?
Okay, so I can just tell you that now. Yes, this is a true story from my life. My parents wanted to go
I
see.
thought it was Danae. I did not think it was Aaron.
So it is not as bad as
Surprise!
I made it sound. I do want to be very clear that my parents were had the utmost concern for our safety. However, 40 years ago, when I was being raised, was a very different time than now. Helicopter parenting was definitely a thing of the future. It wasn't as bad as 40 years before that, where kids would just go do whatever they wanted to. But there was definitely more of an idea of trust between, fellow adults,
Near
even if you didn't
strangers.
know them. Yes, that kind of thing. So we were in California for our California trip, and they wanted to go see The Price is Right, but obviously couldn't take us along. So we contacted a local church. And I should say they contacted a local church, and because they trusted their church connections and those bonds, and just said, hey, do you have somebody you would trust to watch our kids for the day? And so we hired a sitter from that family. So complete strangers. That is true. Didn't know these people. But yes, I definitely played that up in the sin.
It's amazing.
For sure. But yeah, no, that comes from a true
times
place.
were different. I still, I've told this, I might have told it on here, and I know, but I've told this to people before, where me and my friends' parents, one of them would drop us off, like in the summer, like would drop us off we had a local amusement park. They would just drop us off when it opened, and someone else would come pick us up when it closed. Just 3 or 4 like 10-year-olds running around an amusement park.
Insane to think about, right?
I know. Like my daughter is almost that age. I'm like, there's no way in hell I would do that with her. You know,
the only part of that sin that is everything in that sin is true. Except for the very well-adjusted part. I don't know how well-adjusted I am, but
I think that was pretty obvious.
I think that was the point.
Yeah.
Just imagine, like, I got to go see The Price is Right. Like, that's so important.
It is. It's fun. You're in LA, man. Like, you've got to attend a taping, you know?
I know. I've been to a taping. Not A Price is Right, but I've been to a taping.
I have.
So I get it.
Yeah, I've been to a Price is Right taping. It's fun. Danae, what about you?
Setting aside the Uno one, I know Jonathan mentioned that one, but I really appreciated this one because I could not think of a sin for that. And I kept looking at it going, why would they go controller to Uno card?
Yeah.
And I was trying to find my way through what it would be. And so this is the relief of working with a team where you get your partner's combined script and you're like, oh, thank God. You know, not only was it there, but it's written well. And I was really thankful for that because that was to me a pretty weird decision unless Uno paid them.
Correct. And we touched on all the ways it's weird. And the weirdest for me when I did the research was just how recently Uno was invented. Like you would think when you go with that, you'd be like, oh, that's because Uno came out in the 60s or whatever. No, Uno came out right around the same time as Atari came out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I really loved the sin off for how Elizabeth sniffed the milk because that is for me a standout moment. As we've said many times before, I just really love her approach to this character
she's so good.
Because it's such a complex thing to be having some kind of an emotional breakdown or whatever it is that's happening, and then also just jump into the mindlessness of a character that you're also being a character. It's a very interesting web that Marvel has given to her and said, okay, so you are a superhero, you're tragic, but you're surrounded by your family, but you're also still having like family drama inside of a fake universe, inside of this fake universe. Go, you know? And she just is killing it. But the sniffing the milk and, you know, even the moment whenever, one of my favorite moments from the Bewitched episode when she's like, I'll see you at curtain call. Just this exuberance that she has in what she's doing is fantastic. But yeah, you have to smell that milk. That milk is sketchy. And then the lead in of like, bet you haven't even noticed. And like we did. Everyone did. I just really enjoyed that one too. Yeah.
I would also mention the subtle pun in the first sin as well about the titles that I needed time to do. I have time to squeeze in an episode before my Friday colonic, and it's hard to work that crap out sometimes. Although the narrator doesn't say crap, but
he says
but Aaron does. Let's see. I wanted to mention the sin on the because we now know how wrong that sin is. And this is one of those.
Can we say that right now without spoiling things for people?
Sure. Can't we? Because of the end of
this will air a week after the finale. So.
Okay.
You know what, Danae? You are right. You are correct. If somebody is waiting to watch stuff and is only listening to our commentary on the ones they've seen, you are right. So I'll probably delete all that. But yeah, because we'll talk about it again in a later episode for sure.
Oh, that's true.
I also liked that the observation that Agnes was in full stride after knocking on a door coming in. I think that's such a great observation and something I've seen and just never processed. But the idea of somebody standing, knocking on the door, but then once the doors open, they just come like busting in. And they like from a head start. Like, how does that even happen? That is not real world. That just doesn't happen in the real world.
When have you ever entered a house like that you did not live in?
Yeah, I just found that really interesting observation. It's just that, as any woman can attest to, having to deal with constant periods is extremely annoying. About the acronym was fun because obviously with Danae and I writing on this one, we know who wrote that sin, right? Like, we obviously understand that was me. I wrote that sin. A man knows that periods exist and can write period sins. Okay.
My favorite was the shadow moment on that one, which was, I think it was Barrett. He said, Danae must have written this one.
Yeah.
And it's like, nope.
Yeah,
Nope, that's
why,
Aaron.
That's why I mention it.
That's funny.
And I think I've talked about on the show before how having a female voice on the team gives us more freedom even to write stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting because like somebody's got my back. You know what I mean? Like, not that anybody would, be like, women don't think periods are annoying.
Yeah. I can read that sin and confirm, yes, we do have periods.
Thank you. Appreciate the confirmation.
Carry on.
And then I had to mention the sin-off for...
The delay.
I did have to mention the sin-off for Catherine as well. This one is for Han Solo. I enjoyed the play
She's
of words
so good.
there as well.
I just love her
She's
so
been great
much.
forever too.
Let's move on to The Flash, Danae's favorite show. Success is assured.
Jesus.
There are a pile
Lord
of
in
shows
heaven.
in Danae's pile of hate, and this has become one of them. This was a Hughes Watkins script. So yeah, Danae, vent a little bit about this show.
I mean,
This is the only episode you've seen, though, right?
I did watch another episode I think I wrote on one before, but it was early
I think we
on.
did do that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I don't remember what episode we did. I think it was another first season episode, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I was really early on, and so I didn't need to know 10,000 people. I started watching this episode wrongfully assuming that I would just be able to watch it. But then no, I had to go back and
Not
watch
with this show. No. Yeah.
6 season recap videos just to have a general understanding of what the fuck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I had to watch all of them because it's just like, but it did help me to understand that there's just been like new worlds and then people that have been combined into one person, like the sidekick guy that just keeps getting reinvented every season is apparently all of them now. But there were so many more people. And so that's intimidating. But then right out of the gate, you just have these, I don't enjoy this type of storytelling where somebody goes, oh, let me see that crystal, and then just magnifies a map. And then some guy's like, oh, that's a such and such map. And then they're like, oh, we should shine it over here on this, map that happens to be up here on this wall. And oh, if we put it right here, it means that the swirly things are that this is where we're going next. Like, I play Dungeons and Dragons. I have characters that I would love if they would just think like that. Like, oh, what if I shine something through here? And then, but that's all just stuff that doesn't mean anything. Like in the game that I create, if they went over and they shined this thing against a map and then they decided that that's where the bad guy was or that that's where the next step was, I would be thinking, that's not it at all. But okay, like go there and let's see what happens. But in this universe, that is the answer. And not only that, but every single line coming out of every single character's mouth is like this incredibly amplified exuberance. I know exactly what's going on and this is what it is. And it's all just it's just a massive pile of bullshit. And it is so hard for me to like enjoy myself watching these kinds of things. I don't care who anyone is. I don't mind that it's like quote unquote low budget. I don't mind that they have gunfire everywhere and martial arts happening and things like that. It's just how it's all pieced together. There were probably 35 people in this, and I just wonder why does it have to be so many people with so many storylines going on?
I don't think it's that low budget either. I mean, it's not like insane, but like I think that's Warner Brothers. I think
paying so many actors.
Yeah,
just pull it back in.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, and here is, and we mentioned this in the video, the thing that I find interesting, and I haven't kept up with The Flash as well either, but it's interesting that they have so many characters and yet all the storylines end up being about, Barry and Iris. You know what I mean? Like it's just, we have that sin in there. I thought that was so well observed, this idea that you have this show that goes to all these different places and everything just comes down to, these two, and that's probably intentional, but it's just it's one of those weird things.
I really like how you wrote that, Jonathan. I think the sins about you don't need to have powers, you need to have love, and it's like, but also powers, because that's all that happens here. And you can see that in the season recaps, and I was really appreciative of the YouTube channels that put those recaps together. I know I've kind of given them shout outs before for what I do, because I obviously do not have time or a desire to watch as a fan. And I'm not saying that the show is crap for everybody. I'm saying like from a Cinnable standpoint that every single line is so assuredly, this is what we're doing and this means this. It's just, I know this is I know it's a makeup world, but it's so unrealistic. I don't know who to relate to in this kind of a universe.
Yeah.
I thought you had watched every episode, Aaron.
I'm just behind. The last season, I don't know. I have trouble wanting to get into it. Just like I'm not motivated right now.
Over about a year ago, I started watching all the CW DC series, and so I'm watching them in the order they aired. So like I'm watching each show. So I'll watch a Flash episode, then I'll watch an Arrow episode. Then, so I'm like on season 4-ish. I think I'm like right at the beginning of season 4 of the Flash currently, and I don't have like a timetable, so I'm not like even there are weeks go by I don't watch one of the shows. I would call it my second favorite series. I think Legends of Tomorrow is far and away the best show that they've put together so far.
It was the last one I was watching, and I think I'm giving up on it too. And I think I may tune in for the crossovers. I don't know. I think they may be very confusing if I'm not watching the shows. So I may be done. I hear you. I may be done.
But since I'm in, I will say though, I watched the Superman and Lois pilot and liked that a lot.
Is that in the Arrowverse? Is that going to connect?
It is because it's the same actor from Supergirl that played Superman. So it is, but I think it's more in the future because it's like has kids. And so that's why I felt comfortable starting it, because even though I was behind on the other ones. But I've only seen the pilot. It could turn into crap. I have no idea. But the pilot
who knows? Maybe I'll get re-interested in this show, and then I'll be back on my Flash kick or whatever. I love Grant Gustin. I love him. I think he's a great Flash. Cast. I think he's a great Flash, but I just got bored with all the nonsense.
Yeah, and what I was going to say too, well, especially the Harry character, that whole, I don't even know, watching, because like I said, I'm like 50 episodes behind this one, so watching this one and trying to figure out who he was, which Danae's saying apparently he's an amalgam of a lot of them, which is interesting.
I think that's true. Yeah, I might be wrong about that.
And then like these newer characters like the girl and the elongated man, who that actor actually got fired, if you didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He tweeted some nasty shit. So apparently he's gone. I don't know the details, but apparently they fired him this past summer. So I don't know how they're going to wrap his character up. But I didn't really, at least in this episode, I had no interest in them. Like they didn't seem as interesting to me as like I was thinking back to the days of, Cisco and Caitlin and just, I don't know. The first 2 seasons of that show were so good, and it was all because of that cast, right? And then I just felt like once they started Flashpoint, it starts getting a little nutty, and it's looking like it's gotten even crazier. This Mirrorverse stuff didn't seem interesting to me at all, but I haven't watched the episodes leading up to it, so maybe I will like it when I actually do. But I don't know. There was nothing about this that really, it kind of made me actually want to stop watching the show. So,
it was bad, but I think what makes it so bad is that you suffer, I think, when you're putting so much into one episode with so many characters all trying to compete for emotion. There's the sidekick, the guy that has all the answers, that was bad, but then good, but then bad. I can't remember his name. I should look that up.
I will say, in fairness, this was not supposed to be the season finale. There were supposed to be like 2 or 3 more episodes.
Yeah, they
but because of the pandemic, they had to cut it short. So.
Okay. Harrison Wells is his name.
Yes.
So his, you've got his character who obviously is trying to earn respect from one of the new girls on the team or something at the very, very first. Then you have this Killer Frost who is and is not Killer Frost.
Yeah.
So when opening up this episode for the first time, they're talking about her being 2 people, one hidden inside of the other. And unless you have watched it, obviously, why would you just start where that is? Just Sins writers, what we do.
Is Cisco no longer on the show?
No, he's not. I mean, I don't know. He was on the show. He was on the show
episode.
when I stopped.
Yeah, he wasn't in this episode. So I was a little
Cisco?
confused.
He's
best. He really
funniest.
is. But he's one of the guys that works at Star Labs, and
Oh, he I guess I'm thinking of.
They showed him in the opening, like the opening montage where they were just showing faces. They showed him in that.
Yeah, so he ends up becoming a superhero.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, I knew he had powers.
Renouncing his powers.
Right.
And then, like, everyone has a love interest and everyone's got this stuff going on, and it's all very dramatic. But I just wonder if there's a way to do it where there's just not so much happening, and maybe this is suffering because it wasn't intended to be.
I don't know.
What
soap
it
opera's
is now.
got a soap,
and it's very CW, which I've said many times.
You're
in the
right.
past.
I mean, you're not wrong about that.
I am weirdly addicted to CW shows. I watch.
It's very Arrow.
I watch
isn't
a lot
it?
of them.
It's so Arrow. In
Well,
that
yeah, it's
way.
all of them. Yeah, they're all soap operas of a sort.
Arrow's a little darker, but it looks like Flash might have gotten a little darker. So I don't know.
Let's get into the Sins video. Before we do, since we mentioned it, I do want to clarify. Hartley Sawyer is the actor's name who played Ralph Dibny on the show, and
I couldn't remember his name.
He was released for tweets. Those tweets happened in 2012. I think context is always important, and then you can draw your own conclusions from the context. But in 2012, he tweeted some things that were awful. And he has released a statement that he has grown since then and understands how awful those things were. He says they were tweeted for attention in a time I did not realize how much my words mattered. And so, he has released a statement. You can read that on your own. I think there are important lessons to be learned from any of these things, and this is no different. And words do matter.
That is important.
And
thank you for bringing that up, because I don't want it to seem like I was just condemning the dude. Like I said, I don't know much about it.
This is the thing we cannot forget amongst a culture that is very aware of what people have done and what they continue to do. Context does matter. Every situation is different. Make up your own mind on what that should mean for somebody's career, for what they do. But the actual facts of every individual thing do matter, and context is important. So I did want to offer at least some context around his removal from the show. Then people can, find the rest of that context on their own. So, yeah.
While you were doing that, and well done, Cisco was absent because he was on a separate mission. This article is from Screen Rant. They say this might ultimately have been a benefit to the episode given how many subplots it had to resolve. That's a much better way of saying it than I was.
I did like the Charlie's Angels crew, though. I'm really curious if they are in future episodes or previous episodes, because they were fun.
They were, it said that basically the Crisis of Infinite Earths, he was able to regain powers, and then he's on some kind of mission to help find the murderer of his old girlfriend.
Okay. Well, let's get into the video.
Nice.
You guys wrote on it, so I will kick us off. Technically, skin protects him, so are we peeling that off this episode? That's a great point. But only because that's where she's aiming the immensely convenient swirly overlay. If she lifts her arm slightly, you'd be sent to the Dunkin' Donuts instead. Some great editing from our editors there as well. I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. Anyone who owns a pen like this deserves 100 sins. I guess I deserve 100 sins. I love the multicolored pins.
That was the one where they only gave like 5, right? And you were like, fine.
Yeah, kind of let Cinny have its own personality there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I like to put in hundreds of sins on the regular, and then they always
I
get
was
corrected
fine
like,
with 100
maybe just 5. 100's a lot.
I was fine.
None of it matters.
But what was funny is that we had so many sins for this already. Like we were just tearing it apart. So to add 100 would have been like, oh wow.
This pose, the fact that they were both standing in the exact same way.
That was my favorite.
It's so great.
Could have kissed Danae. That was hilarious.
Well,
I was dying.
Do we need to talk to HR? She's pointing to her cheek. She's pointing to her cheek.
You made that creepy.
Give me some loves.
You just said you were going to kiss Danae. I was just clarifying.
It was so awkward. Like, was that purposeful? Did the director purposefully say, I want you both to do this lean?
But then when you said it, I couldn't see anything else.
Yeah, exactly. You put them side and you're just like, wow, okay, that happened.
No, they were side by side in the frame.
Well, that's what I mean. You put them in the frame side by side, and how do you not see that? Like, yeah.
Can one of you stand differently for a little variation, or are we literally just trying to mirror each other here?
Are we doing an album cover right now? Like, what is going on?
Oh, my God.
You said sitting wrong. Made me giggle. The number one rule of the highly secret black hole club: wear the massive pin on your lapel for all to see.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Huge pin.
Ridiculous.
Massive.
And then just I'm pretty sure it's speed. That kind of stuff always.
I loved those so much.
That was so ridiculous. I hate that crap where it's like you see this in a lot of superhero things or people that are like good fighters or whatever. You see all that crap. It's not really about your abilities. It's about the fact that it's about the fact that you know how to love. And it's like, no, actually, the only way you're going to win that tournament is because you have abilities, not because you can love somebody.
What about you guys, Jonathan? Why don't you go next? What were some of your other favorites?
I like just is Daniel Panabaker the greatest actor ever, because it was just like a dialogue from any of these actors was insane, but like for some reason her character had just the craziest
stuff they have to say. Yeah.
Putting out this fire with two little pat-pats. I also just like the detail of it. It could be Gerard, who was on his way home from the used bookstore or whatever.
That was a shout out to my grandfather who started a used bookstore, and his name was Gerard. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Danae, what about you?
This face.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just a couple more. This face I thought was great. Brian De Palma's The Flash. There was a lot of split screen in this episode, and it didn't make any sense why they had it. So it just obviously made me think of De Palma.
I love that you have that knowledge, because I wouldn't. I lack that referential sin ability that you guys have. And
he's one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, so that's part of it. Like, I'm just a fan. So like, anytime I see split screen, I'm just like, who's doing De Palma? Not that he was the first to do that, but he uses it a ton.
Yeah.
The Gilmore Girls outtake I wanted to point out because somebody on Patreon actually said, I don't know why, but I hope Jonathan did this. I have no idea, and I'm really curious. I actually answered it on Patreon too, and I said, no, it was definitely Jonathan. That was me. That the Rory's graduation speech. I think I've even used it before, because whenever somebody's speaking, I just always think of that for some reason.
Nice.
And I don't know exactly why somebody hoped it was me for Gilmore Girls, but that was. There you go.
Danae, what about you?
Not mentioned. I do want to say the Pat fire was one of my favorites. I know you already mentioned it, but I thought about having it be on that moment for a little bit longer, but it happened so quickly. So just like a little behind the scenes thing, like when we're editing these things, we have to think about how long someone has to hear, read, and register what they're seeing, you know? And it happened so quickly, but there was another angle from basically the ground behind them as they looked at the burning warehouse, where you could really see how engulfing the fire was. It was a pretty massive fire. And he just goes ping, ping, and then it's gone.
I'm sorry, you mispronounced Pat.
Yeah, Pat.
There you go.
And then I really loved the character whose name I'm not even going to pretend I know would be up to speed at TV Sins.
Yeah, that was, I'll be honest, I did not know her name, and I did not feel like looking it up. So
it was so perfect.
I thought it'd be funny to write it that way.
It is. And it really just very quickly, succinctly just captured the experience of seeing this episode.
Yeah, and it's talking about just how there's so many characters. So
let's move on to music video sins, shall we? Friday remix this week.
I don't get this at all.
This is
it's just a money grab, right? This is just a money grab.
I watched the video. It is, I guess it's a new thing. What Barrett goes into this, doesn't he? What did Barrett have to say about this?
We're not reading Barrett's comments anymore after his shenanigans from last week.
Barrett,
but he only had to talk
us
about
for the
one
final
thing.
time. That's right. He only gets to talk about one thing. He can't do it this week.
It's too bad.
He'll just randomly mention his love for coming to America, like in the middle of it or something.
The Friday remix was one of the worst experiences I've ever had while writing an MVS script. It's awful, he says. This is in a genre called hyperpop. And hyperpop can eat my ass. Rebecca seems like she's grown quite a bit and is more comfortable in her own skin, and that's awesome. But jeebus, this song is worse than getting her nipples stretched out by a hand-cranked nipple stretching device. And that is the end of Barrett's thoughts on this.
Ironically, exactly how some women describe nursing. But continue on.
That's no joke. That's all he had to say.
All right.
This was apparently like nipple torture.
Well,
we did the original Friday video, and that was a lot of fun. We did that a couple years ago or something.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to relitigate the original video. I remember it coming out and just being like, "This poor girl." But I'm glad she's, I guess, okay. But it's just an interesting capitalization kind of thing. And you know what? Whatever, more power to her. You did a song that absolutely blew up, and part of that was people mocking it, and that's unfortunate and hurtful, but part of it is because you wrote. I mean, that was a catchy song. It was catchy. Admit it. It was catchy.
She came on like a couple years ago. She was on. It wasn't one of the big shows. I don't think it was The Voice or anything. I think it was just like some one season kind of thing where there was some some singing show, and she came out there and she talked about that, like the stuff she went through, and it was like, God, that's awful.
It is awful, and that's part of that is it makes it, like, I don't really want to talk about how bad this video is too much.
I know,
it's just like one of those things.
I'm with you, but
I don't know that I would, after that experience, my instinct would be to reinvent the song and then I don't know, like dipping your toe back in the hate pool. So
at least she's an adult now,
right?
I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like saying that shit about a kid,
and there's
insane.
A part of ownership too that happens that I think we've talked about before. That it's like, okay, she has the confidence, and you hope, right? You hope this is what's happening. That she has the confidence and the ability to go, no, guys, this is me, and I'm owning this, and this is my song, and I'm going to do what I want to my song, and here's how I'm going to present it, and like there's a strength there. You hope that she's portraying.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I will say though, this does happen sometimes. Like George Romero is a pretty famous case where he directed Night of the Living Dead, the original. It did really well, but the way he did his contract or whatever, it immediately went into public domain. So he made no money off of it. So in 1990, he remade it. And it was basically for the simple fact that he wanted a version of it he could make money off of. And I don't know if that's the case here, but that was one thing that went through my head. Maybe there was some stuff where she wasn't profiting off the original. And so she's like, hey, I'll just, I'll do another version of it. And but I don't know if that's true. That was just something that went through my head.
I think moving on from that, just as a music style, I don't like this music style. And as a music video, I did not enjoy this music video.
And who's listening to this music? I really if anybody out there listening likes this music style, please holler at me and just
educate us.
Super
educate
curious.
us on what's fun about it or what's interesting, because it just
I'm just really curious to
hyperpop
talk to a fan of this.
And honestly, there are many other genres of music that have certainly had this attitude leveled at them when they started. You think of punk, right? Like, what is it about, not being able to play your instruments and not caring about singing into, there's a response that happens when music happens that just, it's understandable. It's different. It's weird. I don't get it. And that's okay, but I would love to get it. I'd love to understand what it is that's fun about it,
And now we take you to the segment where Danae reads Wikipedia. Hyperpop is a microgenre categorized by maximalist or exaggerated take on pop music, which may draw on the electric range of influences across electronic, hip hop, and dance. That's pretty obvious. It is exaggerated, eclectic, self-referential approach to pop music that employs elements like brand synth melodies, auto-tune earworm vocals, and excessive compression and distortion, as well as surrealist or nostalgic references to noughties, 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 internet culture, and the Web 2.0 era.
There you go. Thanks. That explains all of it.
Nothing.
All right, let's get into the video.
I get it now.
I am educated.
So what I'm saying is, if you have something to add to that, we're interested.
Sure, of course. I'll kick us off. I'm sure this version will correct all the silly things from the previous one and make this song eminently listenable. I thought that was good sarcasm. Wait, is Friday technically the weekend? I thought Ice Cube told me back in 95 it was the day before the weekend. And I don't want to piss Cube off any more than I already have. Love that. A great, not pictured, a back seat. It's very, very good. Gotta say, I learned a way different version of I've Got the Joy, 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 Joy down in my heart in Sunday
Love
school.
that one.
So perfect. What about you, Danae?
Besides the ones you mentioned, I have one other, which is holy shit, what's happening to this song? I know it's a remix and everything, but this remix sounds like a polish off an 8-ball right before breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan?
Flossing. This ain't 2017, my man. I guess this is what she meant by getting down on Friday. Got to be honest, I did not see that interpretation coming. And I also loved the sciencey butt stuff, but butt stuff nonetheless. I just enjoyed that. I also liked the singing of "I just got some Wendy's and I'm heading to the laundromat," which could be an interesting song.
Sure, of course. Somebody do the hyper pop version tomorrow
of Barrett going to Wendy's.
Yes, of Barrett going to Wendy's. And we're going to CinemaSins, and we're starting with Coming to America. And this was an Atkinson Watkins script. So Chris and Jonathan wrote on this one.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, Chris mentions that too. What did Chris have to say about this one?
Did you see how much he had to say, by the way?
Yeah, he wrote a lot.
He wrote
but
a
he
lot.
never listens to the show, so if you don't want to read it, it's fine. I'm kidding, by the way.
Chris actually didn't say anything this week.
Oh.
Okay, he said, "We did Coming to America so long ago, anticipating a December release of the sequel, even though almost every movie with a release date was getting pushed back even further, or they were being bought by streaming services. It was hard to know, but we wanted to be prepared. And the sequel to this movie did indeed get bought by Amazon and moved to March. So we had a video sitting around for about 5 months that finally got a release. The original Coming to America is very funny. Watching this as a Sins project was super fun. One thing I've wanted to send this movie on forever is when Akeem tells the cab driver to take them to Queens and the cab driver does nothing to ask for specific. This is the equivalent of getting a cab and just saying, "Take me to Orange County." And the cab driver just nods and starts driving. There's always been a de-neighborhooding of Queens in movies. Like, Queens is a very specific place with a street and a cross-street kind of destination. Furthermore, when you fly to New York, you're very likely in Queens at LaGuardia or JFK airports. I didn't learn about all this until just before I lived in Queens, that there are many neighborhoods with names. Honestly, though, if we wanted to micro-send this, we could technically send the idea of telling a cab driver to, quote, "go to Astoria," because that's not even specific enough. In the end, though, it's all about getting to the most common place of Queens, and the cab driver drops them off in a very poor area of Brooklyn, if you're paying attention. The method by which Akeem and his buddy Semi, played by Arsenio Hall, decide on Queens is kind of silly on its own and worth sinning. They narrow the field down immediately to New York or California, and when they end up on New York, decide to go with Queens as a destination. Despite Akeem's incredible education, he seems to think that the name matters. The movie has the requisite, quote, "none of these women are acceptable" montage, which I always find offensive for various reasons. Anyway, this is in the late 80s, so of course you're going to have some jokes that won't fly today going on. But my main issue with these montages that you see in virtually every romantic comedy is that the potential dates are almost always people that don't exist. The whole setup is weird in this movie. They're in a bar, but they seem to be holding auditions for girlfriends in this one place. Also, that the movie can have its comedy montage of unacceptable mates. And in this movie, Akeem is hiding the fact that he's a prince. So why all these women are lining up for a table interview is baffling. I make it sound like this is what they're actually doing, like there's a sign-up sheet and everything, but I really think it's just the movie needing to have one location for all these women, including 2 pairs of twins. So it's not difficult when Akeem finally runs into Lisa that he's immediately smitten because she actually exhibits human qualities where the others were just comic creations. I mean, yeah, she's pretty awesome, incredibly nice and beautiful. But it's also curious by the end of this, that Akeem just wants to immediately marry her and she wants to marry him, and she's a surprise bride in his wedding at the end of the movie. Lisa never once suggests she's getting ready to get married, leave New York, become a princess, or any of that. But what a minor detail overall, right? I think it's possible we upset some people about not removing a sin and actually adding a sin for the sexual chocolate scene of this movie. I haven't checked the comments, but I'm guessing that's the case.
That was my fault if anybody wants to throw stones at somebody.
It's actually pretty funny, but it goes on forever.
It really does. And it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's what he says. It has nothing to do with the plot of the film. It overstates its welcome. Favorite thing to write? when the characters of Randolph and Mortimer Duke show up from another Eddie Murphy / John Landis movie, Trading Places, there's a moment when Akeem gives them money because they're homeless. I'm not done yet. I just thought I had to burp. I did.
That's staying in. Absolutely.
No, it's getting cut out.
Only one man gets to decide.
To those who have watched Trading Places, this is a fun cameo, but when they come back to thank Akeem, who's sitting at a restaurant, they don't seem to acknowledge that Akeem looks exactly like Billy Ray Valentine. This got me to thinking, since Eddie Murphy plays several different characters in this movie, in the world of Trading Places and Coming to America officially intersect, there must be thousands of Eddie Murphys out there. Also, John Landis, who may be more well known for getting a child and Vic Morrow killed in the Twilight Zone movie nowadays. I couldn't resist taking a little bit of a shot at that. Twilight Zone, the movie, came out in 1983, the same year as Trading Places, and I wondered why he wasn't referencing that movie in this one. The fact that he was allowed to continue directing movies after that debacle is a sore spot for many, even though I believe he's expressed every regret possible since then.
Chris covers about everything I wanted to cover. So moving on to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I will say, though, if I didn't read comments. I don't know if people were complaining we didn't give a send-off for Sex with Chocolate, but I love that Chris gave the send-off for his favorite scene, or one of his favorite scenes.
The barbershop?
No, well, that one, but the just the real quick one where he just tells the girls that he has a date with Lisa. It's just Eddie Murphy.
I had that one marked down too. I thought that scene was really sweet. There was something about the idea of, I can't even explain to you why this scene is my favorite. It's always been my favorite part of the movie. I like it.
It's charming, right? He's such a. And I heard somebody talking about, I was listening to an episode of Screen Drafts where they were doing the Eddie Murphy movies, and I don't want to give away where this was ranked, but it's on there. And they were talking about how this was maybe the first movie where Eddie Murphy plays like a really nice, just sweet person, because he's kind of like a smart ass, or something like in the other ones.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
And I hadn't really ever thought about that, and it's true. I will say, though, my personal opinion of this movie, I like it. I think it's funny. I don't love it like I think a lot of people do.
Sure.
It's not my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. I mean, it would be in the conversation, maybe top 5 or something, but there are definitely movies of his I prefer over this one. But it's good. It's good. I mean, it's a perfectly good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I completely missed out on the Eddie Murphy experience. I come to all of his stuff late. His Saturday Night Live, all of his movies. I just watched Coming to America a week ago as I was trying to catch up on some Eddie Murphy stuff. And early Eddie Murphy, you just see what a beacon of charisma that man is. It is insane how much I love him in those early movies. It's
crazy.
He lights up the screen. It's just, and I'm not saying he doesn't have parts of that in his later career, but it's different. It's, I'm trying to think, my first experience with Eddie Murphy probably had to be Nutty Professor, or somewhere in that, or probably Mushu in Mulan, or that is him, right? Is that okay? I just for a second thought, that is him, right?
Those might even be, well, they're a couple years apart, but they're right around the same time period.
So right kind of in that, whatever he was doing in that range, Donkey in Shrek, I certainly saw that when that came out. That's my experience to him. Then to go back and kind of see that persona in its fullest is, I don't know, there's just something really beautiful about it. I was really impressed.
Well, this is the end of 1980s Eddie Murphy, that run in the 80s, and he's still so young. Like, he's like 28 or something when he made this, because he was 20, I think, when he did 48 Hours, which was like 82.
Crazy. Yeah.
And just blasted onto the scene. Like, if you ever watch 48 Hours, the most amazing thing about that movie is that you find out it's his first film, and how young he is, and how he just takes control of that movie. And the scene in the bar is still one of my all-time favorite scenes ever in a movie, because it's just like, I've never seen somebody emerge like that. It's crazy. Maybe like Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street might be like the closest example to something like that, but that doesn't even compare, I don't think.
Danae, what's your Eddie Murphy experience? Have you seen this movie? Like, how have you experienced like his career?
I just went to IMDb to try to have some kind of a memory recognition for seeing him in something. And I wonder if my mom and dad maybe watched like Beverly Hills Cops or something. Possibly.
It was the highest grossing movie of 1984.
But I don't remember.
It beat Ghostbusters.
He's just one of those people that I think I just remember always being there.
Yeah.
I never saw Nutty Professor, but is that the one where he plays multiple characters?
He does that in a lot. He does that here too in Coming to America. Him and Arsenio play so many of the characters.
Coming to America was the first movie that he really
he broke out and started doing characters and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really don't have a strong memory.
I mean, I think 48 Hours actually might have been my first movie to see because I don't remember, but Beverly Hills Cop is the first one. Like I remember, like where I was like, this guy's funny. I watched him on Saturday Night Live too. But, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. And
Danae, why don't you kick us off with some of your favorite sins from the video?
I love the movie Character 101. If the protagonist's love interest is dating someone else, they can't just be lacking in a few areas. They have to be total assholes.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed that. I'm like, noted.
It's true. Especially that. Yeah, it's very true.
Because after I saw you take down that robber, I figured you must have incredible bartending skills. And then the one that really busted me was this is how you close your hand.
Yeah, that's funny.
I love stuff like that.
Me too.
Jonathan, what about you?
Well, did you not want to go since I wrote on this?
Oh, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. I should go first. At some point, relaxing turns into falling asleep, and your movie hasn't even started yet. It's a good point. So this is considered brushing his teeth. How many cavities does Akeem have after this 164th ass job that happens daily? Made me laugh. Arsenio Haskell. Always good to have an Eddie Haskell callback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. But was his mother the same way before she married his father? Because the queen seems to have her own opinions and speaks freely in front of the king.
Yeah.
The point is you can't really judge under the circumstances where everyone is expected to be a certain way due to the ceremony. I love that cultural insight. Thank you.
Yes, that was Chris. That was Chris. That was a great observation. It never crossed my mind.
I just love the idea that and I don't know that the movie is, having recently seen it, I don't feel like the movie is as much saying arranged marriages are awful and terrible and never work as it is saying there is something beautiful about finding your own way, finding your own journey. And anyways, I really enjoy it. And I'm not here standing on a soapbox preaching for arranged marriages, by the way, that could have come off sounding that way. I just mean culturally, it's really... It really is a cultural thing that we think of marriage the way we do here. And every culture has its weirdness with marriages and what it means and all that kind of stuff.
And it does seem in the movie, in my opinion, they have like chemistry and, in the movie, and they seem to have like a good marriage. Although he does admit that he sleeps with the Bath women, but that's a whole other thing.
Yes. It is a whole other thing. Eavesdropping made me laugh.
Yeah, that was such a weird scene.
What era of the NFL were you watching to see the goalpost as a big H? It's good.
Love Eddie Murphy in that scene too, though, man. Oh, he's so good in this movie. Maybe I do like this movie more than I think I do.
I'm glad we got that Fry review from the random lady talking to two other random people. Movie wasn't complete without it.
We both noted her. It caught both of our attentions.
And then the simplicity of The Lion King was great. Absolutely great. What do you got, Jonathan?
You guys said a lot of the stuff. I loved, what's even more impressive is that her makeup is still fully intact after being underwater washing dick for the last several seconds.
I don't know why that was so funny.
It was. I love Chris's observation too. I think, and the detail here was the best, beating people off at a St. John's basketball game.
I have a question about that scene.
Was that really happening?
So that's my question. I just watched the movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
Okay,
I don't know.
Listen. I just watched the movie, and I knew she was like fondling him. Like I knew she was copping a feel.
I think she's just fondling him.
Are we supposed to think? But now I'm wondering after this video, are we supposed to think like he came to climax and he was going to the bathroom to clean up?
Maybe he either did that or he got an erection or something, but I was
thinking he just wanted to get out of the situation, and so he went to, but but with him standing up and like cheering, like that was supposed to be his orgasm. Like I have never,
I don't know.
I just watched this movie and I did not interpret the movie that way when I watched it, but I wonder if that's supposed to be what we're supposed to think. So I was going to ask you.
I think you could look at it either way, but Chris made the observation that he still had his pants on, obviously, and and then that, so it was just funny. So I think we're just, but you could definitely just interpret it.
I was just curious if people interpreted it that way because I definitely did not. But
no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then I also had the movie denies us Arsenio, and Arsenio action I thought was pretty great. And then the mouse. I love the "Don't Mind Me. I'm just looking around for the final scene of The Departed," which is a great running gag with CinemaSins stuff. So, but yeah, no, this was a lot of fun to work on. It's just, and I'm glad it's finally out there because I think we wrote this in like October, September, something like that.
Yeah, and then the movie got moved. Back. It was a bit ago. Let's move on to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Also me.
Yeah, it is a Jonathan week. This is a Jeremy Jonathan script. Scott Watkins doing this one. Squatkins. Watt. This is a Watt script. I'm gonna do all of our future behind the sins with relationship combo
it's a
names.
Script.
Squat.
Yeah.
Squat.
This is Squat script. Danae, what did you think of this movie?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen this either. So
You haven't?
you know what? I think this is one of those movies that actually I think I have seen, but it was so bad I just immediately flushed it from my memory.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I saw it when it came out. I did not like it. I definitely and really didn't like it this time. I didn't notice in the comments though, which this was, since we're doing comments section a little different this week, I will mention there were quite a few people that were saying they really enjoy it. So it was nice to see that, I guess, because even though I can't stand it, I still think it's interesting. I love movies having fan bases.
It looked so,
and it was such a bomb.
It looked so poorly designed. And what I mean, I don't just mean the CGI, because I mean, there's always going to be a movie that just does not present something well, and CGI is very expensive, and perhaps they didn't have a budget for it. But what I noticed about it is that they had almost muted the entire movie to try to potentially cover up how poorly it was done. It's just it looked very ashy. You know what I mean? Like it looked like it was in shadow the whole time.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever read anything from the director, Stephen Norrington. My understanding is it was just maybe too big for him. And because I know Connery battled with him, and Connery quit acting because of his experience on this movie.
Yeah.
This is the movie that stopped.
Yeah.
He never made another movie. Obviously he's passed away recently, but yeah, he never made another movie after this. Yeah.
Imagine being the director of that movie.
Well, and I don't know that Norrington's done a whole lot since then. He had done Blade before this and maybe like one other movie, but he had never done anything on this scale. And I don't think he had, I think that's the main problem with the movie. I don't think the direction of it is good. I don't think whoever it is has a grasp on it. And also, I'm sure the studio came in and they did things, and it feels like a studio interference kind of thing too. So it's a mess. It's just a mess.
So I checked my diary on Letterboxd, and I did see this in 2003. I currently have it rated as a 2-star film. So
yeah, I went 1.
Yeah. And I have a feeling if I watch it again, that might lower.
Oof.
But
it's just, that's the main thing. They're nice. It's a nice cast, and there are people trying to give performances. And I mean, there are things I can see where this would, and it's fun, right? I mean, I'm a book guy. I like the idea of like the literary Avengers, as we call them at one point. I love that idea.
It's an interesting concept. It really is.
Yes. And and it is insane how much this movie is like the Avengers, but it's like 8 years before. You know, that's crazy to me. But anyways, it doesn't work. It's a mess just from beginning to end. So
let's get into it. Danae?
Jeremy said League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is just terrible. It's so bad. As Jonathan wrote in the Sins video, this movie fails on every level imaginable. CGI, awful. Acting and casting, terrible. Story, fuck you, what story? Common sense, to the moon with your common sense. The movie is set in 1899 but has Batmobiles, super submarines, and a young Tom Sawyer, and none of those things should exist in 1899. I think the frustrating thing is that it's a cool idea to bring together famous literary heroes. The source material may be awesome, for all I know, but it's just wasted here. There's a joke in the Sins video about having spent so much money on Sean Connery that they couldn't afford good CGI, and I think that may actually be the case. This is also the Sins video that, as a narrator, I learned my Arnold impression is better than my Connery impression, and that both those impressions are terrible. Just don't watch this movie, not even out of curiosity. I'm giving this a cat's level warning. You will regret watching this, I promise.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that.
What do you got, Danae, for some of your favorite sins from this video?
No one in 1899 London is freaking the fuck out about this horseless carriage from the future that has intermittent windshield wipers.
Yeah.
What a funny thing to point out. Like, incredible wheels. It's futuristic looking. That aside, intermittent windshield wipers.
Yeah.
of all
That's
things.
a more recent invention. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a whole movie about it.
What?
There's a whole movie about the invention of intermittent windshield wipers.
Why?
And did I imagine that? This is really a thing, right? Like with what's his name from
Now that you're saying it, it sounds right, but I don't
with
think
what's his name from Talk Soup and then became like an Oscar contending actor.
Greg Kinnear?
Yeah, Greg Kinnear. Isn't there a Greg Kinnear movie about the invention of intermittent windshield wipers?
You might be right.
All right, Danae, keep going, and I'm going to find this. But yes, keep going.
Okay. The pointing out the whole liquid thing, that if we can see liquid coursing through his system, we should be seeing all the other liquid.
Yes.
A wonderful
And I wrote
for sure.
including feces.
I'm so proud of you. You wrote that one? Look at you.
But you would. I mean,
You
you would
would.
absolutely see that.
You'd see blood. You'd see interstitial fluids.
Mm-hmm.
You would see the brainstem fluid actually pulsing from your brain down your brainstem and back up.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's right, everybody. If you get quiet enough, you can hear your breathing, your pulse, and you could actually hear your brain stem juices pulsing up and down your body. I've done it before. It will freak you out ever so slightly, but it's really rad at the same time. Anyway, moving on. People sometimes wonder why this movie was unsuccessful, but those people have never actually watched it. What a burn. But wow, that was good. And then nothing is more exciting than a Sean Connery in a foot chase.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my favorites. Is Flash of Genius, by the way? I think that just came to me.
Listen, I
got
just
a Flash
looked it
of
up, and I'm
Genius.
waiting till she's done to say it, and you just
I
like...
thought she was done.
I'm done.
I'm sorry, I had a Flash of Genius, Aaron.
You did. Yes, it is Flash of Genius. It is Greg Kinnear when college professor and part-time inventor Robert Kearns develops the intermittent windshield wiper. He believes his wife, and their children will be set for life.
What did you give that on Letterboxd?
More than the 60-some% it has on Rotten Tomatoes. I really liked Flash of Genius. I think it's a decent film. So
I bet you gave it a 3.5 because you do half stars.
I do half stars. Let's find out. Let's see if Jonathan is correct.
Have I told you about that? I quit doing half stars because I couldn't figure out what a 4.5 star film was. So,
It's like I don't know how to define this. I'm done.
so I'm just doing if it's so I just do 3, 4, and 5 are all recommends.
I gave this 4 stars.
Oh my! Gosh.
I think it's a great movie. So there you go. I enjoyed Flash of Genius, the intermittent windshield wiper movie.
That's right.
Now back to League of Extraordinary
Now
Gentlemen.
back to League.
That was Aaron's fault, by the way.
It was my fault. We need you to lead a team of unique men like yourself. We're hoping you can sneak up on the enemy. Just love the fact of playing on that old joke, how do you catch a unique rabbit? You sneak up on it. And I just appreciate anybody who knows that.
I've never heard that.
I know Aaron and Jeremy are the same person.
You're not far off.
You're wrong.
I think
but you're not wrong.
I have specifically. In fact, I haven't seen the book yet. I'm supposed to get an advanced reader's copy, but his new book that's coming out about going from preacher's kid to CinemaSins guy or whatever.
Yes.
He asked me to write some sort of like prologue for that. And my entire prologue is about how we're the same person. Because we both grew up in the Midwest. We were born literally a couple weeks apart.
He has 4 sons.
All right, now listen. If you want to focus on the differences, you can.
Well, I mean, he has 4 cats. I mean, they're male, aren't they?
Of course. But we both are sons of preachers from the same small Christian denomination. We both went to the same college, the same years. Got selected for a lot of the same things. Both found our love for movies after we left home. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those interesting things where we are very similar people, and
Danae's really interested.
Yeah, she's texting now. She's texting.
I'm tweeting Nick, who had a really hilarious response to your banana thing.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I shouldn't have looked, but it's just okay. Sorry.
No, it was very funny. Yes, I saw that at the beginning of the show.
I also like Tombstone doesn't know how to Quartermain correctly. Noticing that it's spelled incorrectly.
I think I even talked about that on Slack.
Yes, I think you did.
That Quartermain. That name has always bugged the crap out of me because it's not spelled the way you say it.
Right.
And because there's a series of Hammer films that are all about this guy named Quatermain, which is how I would pronounce that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Alan Quartermain has always been Alan Quartermain, but it's not spelled. And then they misspell it on the Tombstone. So it was just, I don't know. I was like, that's a weird thing with me. That's a me thing for sure. But it pissed me off.
I love when he mentions Phineas Fogg Around the World in 80 Days. He's just name-checking famous people in literature who traveled. Not as good as Mary and Joseph, Nazareth to Bethlehem in 7 days, huh? Or not as good as Frodo and the Hobbits, the Shire to Rivendell in 6 months, huh? I thought that was really great. Pretty sure Sherry and Giggles only work on Tuesday and Thursday nights, but I've never understood British time zones or strip clubs.
I was happy about that one. Thank you.
That's good. They should call this the Fire Festival. I enjoyed that.
That was one of my favorites.
I've seen kindergarten crayon drawings that look more realistic than this evil hide. Was it Bring Your Kid to Work Day at the CGI place? Brutal.
It is.
Just brutal, but true. We call that trudel, by the way. Things that are brutal and true. We meaning just me, just in this moment, making it up. Jonathan, what?
You guys,
what do you got?
You guys got them all. But I will say why are our names popping up like crazy?
Sorry, I got bored.
The combination of your distraction and Jonathan's inability not to comment on everything in front of him is just the worst.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Aaron.
No, it's all right. I'm just trying to keep us on track here.
The only thing I will mention that hadn't been the fruit that was on like the deck of the ship that really bothered me for some reason. Like when they were leaving it,
so funny.
We left one sin in. I actually wrote like 4 sins for that whole sequence.
Oh my gosh!
And Jeremy just left one of them in, which was totally fair. It was ridiculous. I don't even know how we would have. It was like 10 seconds of film, if that.
Yeah.
But I was like, what happens to the fruit, man? Like that's just gonna get wet.
I love that.
Why would you do that?
Fruit has become like a running thing on our channels, and I just love how fruit focused we are. It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Ha ha! Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're just going to talk about something from putting together the stuff for the week. Today, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I will. Just as soon as I find what I was looking for.
Are you saying you still haven't found what you're looking for?
Looking for?
Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
Sounds like Flash was a huge keeping tabs for you because you did all the Flash research.
Yeah, I just didn't really nothing really was exciting about that because it was just all research. And then for WandaVision, breaking the fourth wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did look up the nutritional value of Lucky Charms.
Nice.
I was really curious after seeing this side of the box.
Is there any
that
nutritional
was a
value?
great catch, by the way, that they just repeated those 4 times in a row. Like,
and there was no riboflavin.
They're just like, we're just going to take this nutrient section and we're just going to copy paste 4 times in a row down the side of this box. So weird.
To give such, like, I suppose the back of the box would be really fun. They made it look like a maze, the very clear wink and a nod to the clowns getting to the center of town and that's the goal. I mean, that was actually very clever. And I do love that WandaVision does that. And they kind of like give these winks and nods throughout all of their episodes to all kinds of things that are happening. But to not even try with the ingredient list. And also, I didn't send this, but the serving size was absolutely bonkers. It was something along the lines of only 3 per box, 3 servings per box. So they really didn't try hard.
A third of a box that's like my bowl of cereal. That's for me. That's my size servings.
So the normal servings per box are, let's see,
I'm going to guess somewhere in the 12 range.
Whoa,
nice.
A serving size for Lucky Charms is 3/4 of a cup for the information that's on the side. And I always find that to be alarming because when you pour a bowl of cereal, not even a full cup of Lucky Charms is what you're looking at for the nutritional value.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just basically did vitamin A, C, and calcium, I think. But there's also iron and vitamin D and thiamine and riboflavin and niacin and folic acid and all kinds of stuff that's in them. Zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, all that stuff is in there. But they didn't even try. And then the percentages were weird too. It was like 200,000% calcium. It was. They just stopped trying.
Well, okay, but here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about the percentages. You can have more than 100% because they're percentages of the daily allowance.
Sure.
Right.
But they're not trying on and making it an actual percentage.
Right.
To go, hey, what's our reference point? So calcium is usually, I think, 10 to 25%, depending.
Yeah. Well, they were correct in the single, but then when they repeated it 4 times is when it got correct.
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of calcium.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a lot. So
too much calcium.
It was fun to look up nutritional value of items and then also read the ingredients and
listen,
it's just been a long time.
You don't want too much calcium in your diet because you get too much calcium in your diet, you're boned. I mean, seriously.
Wow. I will say I did consider writing a sin where, as a lactose intolerant person, I thought if I can get my calcium just by eating a ton of Lucky Charms like this,
that'll work.
The combination of Danae trying to talk about something serious and Aaron making a pun out of it is
it's just tragedy. It's just killing the show. It's just tragedy.
Or whatever Aaron said earlier about us making fun of us.
It's a lot. Jonathan, what do you got for keeping tabs?
The only thing I really, even though I wrote on a lot of stuff, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I looked up because the Tom Sawyer thing, which I thought was just dumb, that he was one of the characters. I did look up, although oddly enough, Jeremy wrote the Sun about him being a detective, but I did look up I looked up his age, which we talked about in one of the Sins, because in the book that Mark Twain wrote, which was supposed to be set in 1845, he was 12. Which means in this movie, 1899, he would have been like 66. So 65, 66. Obviously, he was not.
Yeah.
And the actor was nowhere close to that. So that was a pretty easy one to just point out. But there was a novel that Twain wrote in 1896 called Tom Sawyer Detective, which I actually wasn't familiar with, or I don't recall being familiar with it, where Tom attempts to solve a murder. But he's still not like, it's not like he's in the CIA or something like that. I mean, he's just in his own element. And it was just Twain was trying to write a satire. The detective novel was becoming immensely popular at that time, and Twain was kind of playing off of that and trying to satirizing it. The interesting thing about it, though, was he got accused of plagiarism. There was a professor that said Twain was plagiarizing a story written by Stephen Bilcher called The Vicar of Welby. But what was weird was The Vicar of Welby had not been translated into English yet. It was only in German. So unless Twain knew how to read German, he had not read it. And he said he wasn't aware of it. But he did, oddly enough, say at the beginning of the book that it was based on a Swedish criminal trial. So the book is based on something. So I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting when I was looking into all that. I couldn't really use it, but I found it kind of fascinating.
Nice. Well, very cool. My keeping tabs, I talked a little bit already about the research I did on old video games and card games and for that sin. I also wanted to mention the Kane Cola sin because that is a Marvel reference to a character named Kane. By the way, I only know this stuff because I look it up. I've talked before, I'm not a comic person. But the part about wondering whether it comes in a 6-pack is a direct reference to the group that Kane was in was called the 6-pack or something like that. There were some comics called 6-pack comics or whatever.
Wow, I'm glad I didn't cut that one.
So that was kind of a little winky reference with the narrator saying, for no reason whatsoever, I wonder if this comes in a 6-pack. because the narrator does not get the Marvel references. He just pretends to understand the Easter eggs. But that's what I got. I think we can move on to the comments section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're going to talk about our favorite comments from the week. Psych, just kidding. We're actually going live to our amazing Sin Club members to take some questions from them for the comment section this week. We are in the process of testing out what our live streaming will sound and look like to our amazing Sin Club members during Sin Week. So now's a good time for us to remind you that Sin Week is coming up fast. We're just a couple weeks away from this celebration of sinning and the
celebration of sinning.
The Cinebration, the 3 new videos, bonus videos that only our Sin Club members get, as well as 4 live streams every afternoon at noon Central, going live with video and audio to do live recording of podcasts, live Sinmentaries, live Q&As, all that kind of fun stuff is going to happen during Sin Week. And that will be available, every single video and every single live stream, to every single Sin Club member for the month. And then it'll move to its regular home, with the videos being for our $10 a month supporters, that kind of stuff at the end of the month. So, yeah.
So essentially you can go to patreon.com/CinemaSins and you can join at any tier, even if it's just the $3 tier, and you can experience all of Sin Week for the month of March. So you can kind of test it out. You can see the cool stuff that we do over there, and then hopefully hang out and continue to enjoy.
So really, it's a Sin month. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, in some ways. But the live stuff is all happening that week. So thank you to these willing guinea pigs who have said, we'll help you test this out. And I believe we've got 7 members of our Sin Club hanging out with us and chatting already.
In our live chat.
Yeah, and we just threw this out like as a surprise today. So it's not something that...
so thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for apparently you just like waiting on our every whim.
Oh, you gotta take the under there.
First
Always
comment that I wanted to bring up, Slab says the over under on Danae being distracted at 37 seconds. It's been happened. I've already muted my mic twice to yell at my dogs. This is what they get to experience every week.
Your dogs had not barked the entire recording
until we go live. That
was awesome.
It's incredible.
They knew.
They do know.
You knew the whole time. The whole time. All right, Danae, lead us through.
Says as she is, you're saying this as she is distracted. Yeah.
Danae, lead us through what some of our amazing Sin Club members want to talk about. We will take 3 conversation starters since we usually do 3 comments during the comment section.
Otherwise, only 3?
Listen, we got to eat food at some time. So this is how this works.
But I had a big breakfast. I'm ready to sit here for a long time.
And I don't believe my daughter is actually doing what she's supposed to be doing. So I got to get back to her at some point.
That's right.
Okay. We'll start with It Don't Connect, asking, well, first of all, saying, as it is my birthday, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I would like to know what y'all's favorite birthday memory is.
Favorite?
Like a movie we saw on our birthday? Or
I misspoke. It's birthday memory, not a movie. Although you could do a movie.
Favorite birthday memory. Ooh, that's a tough one. It's interesting for me because my birthday often falls Memorial Day weekend. And so
same.
For those that don't know, Jonathan and I do share a birthday. Like, we were born on the same day 1 year apart.
I'm younger.
So that's right. I'm the old man in this situation. I am a year older than Jonathan, exactly 1 year older. So our birthday falls on Memorial Day weekend sometimes. So I'm used to like a lot of big movies coming out that weekend. Mm-hmm. And so I have a lot of birthday memories around movies, which it's interesting you made that mistake, Danae. But, like a lot of the Star Wars movies have come out on or around my birthday. So yeah, that is a big one for me, having people together and like going seeing a big Star Wars movie or a big Marvel movie or whatever the big Memorial Day weekend movie is.
Yeah, I have a birthday. I just whatever my birthday movie is that year. Whatever movie's coming out that weekend. Some years it's good, like I have Mission Impossible, the first one, and like Aaron said, Star Wars, and sometimes it's Baywatch. So
that's right. It's It's not always great. Yeah.
or I think 2 years ago it was Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, and so last year was one of the first years I actually wasn't in a theater, which
Yeah.
was kind of sad. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I don't know any outside of that though. Like I've never been huge on celebrating my birthday. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff when I was a kid, but nothing that really, unfortunately, nothing that stands out. I will tell you, my late grandmother always got me an ice cream cake. I always remember that
Nice.
up until
That's
I was
sweet.
until I was like 18, I think.
Nice.
And I don't know. That memory always sticks with me. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
My birthday sometimes falls on Thanksgiving. And so I oftentimes was already around a lot of family. And so there was lots of memories of being with family, more than just a birthday party. Friendships would come and go. Big birthday parties would come and go. My mom did try to do several really cool things for me growing up. I remember her having a couple of, I think my 12th birthday or my 13th birthday was pretty epic with a massive sleepover. And she took us to the mall for a scavenger hunt where she had gone there earlier in the day and dropped off like hints and notes at different places around the mall. So you would go into like a clothing store or something, and then you'd have to go talk to somebody, and then they would give you a clue for the next thing. So that was a really cool idea. Those are fond memories. Upon reflection of those friendships and those things that happen, like it's kind of like it gets a little jadey, right? But in the moment, it was really great. And I love that she gave me some really epic birthday parties when I was growing up. But I think the ones that, stand out the most are probably being around family with Thanksgiving.
Nice.
I always loved it when my birthday fell on Thanksgiving. It felt like,
That's
everybody be like, I'm thankful for Danae this year.
Well,
it's all about me. Yay.
We are thankful for It Don't Connect, and happy birthday, It Don't Connect.
Happy birthday to
happy
you.
birthday.
Hope it's a wonderful one.
Absolutely.
Here's a good question from Apathy, who asks, in honor of Coming to America, what's your favorite unnecessary sequel?
wow.
An unnecessary sequel.
Well, they're all unnecessary. In fact, all movies are unnecessary when you
I know
really
mine.
think about
Can I
it.
go
But,
first?
yeah.
Mine is Finding Dory. Because I really thought that they did a good job of making it a different story. It didn't have to be completely. It was obviously a sequel, but not about Nemo necessarily. It was more an exploration of another character from that world that everyone really enjoyed. And it has one of my most favorite unexpected emotional outbursts from me in a movie. Because I do sometimes unexpectedly cry during movies. And I did not expect to get so emotional when I saw all of the shell roads leading back home. There was just something so beautiful about thinking about these parents who had spent their entire lives just laying out a way for their kid to find them. I can't talk about it. It was unexpected. Like it hits me in a really cool, deep place. And I did not know how quickly the waterworks would come. And then I didn't know why I was crying. So every time I think about it, there's just new layers of emotion there. So that's my favorite.
That's a real breakthrough for Danae right there. She described emotion as cool and deep right there during that sentence. So I just want you to know.
To take it back.
I just want you to know you just witnessed a breakthrough for Danae. Jonathan, did you have an answer for this?
That was a breakthrough. You're right.
It is. Wow.
I also managed not to cry.
I
thought of a few, but the one that immediately came to mind, and is probably the one I've seen the most times, is definitely Rocky IV.
Is that a sequel?
Is Rocky IV
I
a
always
sequel?
think a sequel is just one.
Oh, like it has to be the second movie in your mind to be the sequel?
Well,
Maybe
that's
not.
easy
Maybe
to.
I'm wrong.
It has
It's
to be
not
the
trequel
second.
or fourquel.
That's true.
You
If
know,
we're going
it's
to
not
go,
even trequel.
and at that point, you might be right. Maybe it's not. It is unnecessary, but maybe it makes sense because they've had 2 or 3 movies that have made money. Okay, good point. I'll just talk about Die Hard 2.
I could be wrong. No. Go with your instinct. Go with your instinct.
I'll just talk about Die Hard 2, man. They're both the same. Die Hard 2, Die Hard does not need a sequel. Like, there's no reason for that. And it's got, 4 sequels at this point? But Die Hard 2, which granted, it came out when I was 14 and I saw it opening weekend in the theater. I was shocked to find out, like, when I got older and was reading, like, old reviews, how much people hated that movie because I love it. Like, and it's possible I've seen it more times than the original. I think the original is a better movie, but I think I enjoy watching the second one more because it's just so over the top. And it's just so crazy. And Dennis Franz in that movie, Dennis Franz and Bruce Willis saying the most ridiculous shit to each other is just one of my favorite things ever. I don't know if it's good, but I just absolutely love it. I'm almost positive I give it 5 stars on Letterboxd just because I don't know what else to give it.
Yeah. Because there's no 6.
There's no 6 stars. Yeah, that's right. It's an 11.
I'm really struggling with this question, and I think it's the unnecessary part that's throwing me off because I'm like, well, I love Toy Story 2, or but I'm like, is that what qualifies it as unnecessary? And it seems to be maybe the qualification we're using is that it's less beloved, which is a hindsight thing, right? I don't know, who would have said ahead of time as how do you determine what's unnecessary and necessary? As opposed to in hindsight, depending on how people feel about it.
Just go with your instinct, ignore that.
My instinct is Last Crusade. Did we need a third Indiana Jones movie? I don't know. Did we want one? Probably. Is it amazing? Yes, it's incredible. It's my favorite Indiana Jones movie. So that's because instinct.
You're dumb.
It's because I'm a real moron at the end of the day.
It's a beautiful movie.
But I do. It's my favorite indie movie, and it's just I don't know how to qualify it as necessary or unnecessary, but I do love it. So yeah.
Cool.
Apathy,
question.
by the way, has a follow-up clarification about unnecessary. They say movies not made to be an ongoing story, and I think that qualifies. I don't think Last Crusade was made to had to be told to continue the Raiders or Temple of Doom stories.
Yeah, so, that's a little different than something like Batman, where you've got or
Lord of the Rings,
a movie that is intentionally telling a longer story.
Sure.
No, that's kind of how I took it. So
yep, there you go. What's next, Danae? One more. So difficult.
We'll go with this one from Slab, who asks, how excited are we to get back to the theater? Cinema for our friends in foreign lands.
It's cinema here.
Extremely, very.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't know when I'm not going to be hesitant. I mean, that's probably going to be a minute.
Sure.
So that's the thing. But once I feel comfortable, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's been really, that's been something that's really weird. I will say, not going to the cinema, though, I'm probably watching more movies just because
it's very strange.
I'm at home. There's not travel time and, other things to do outside of the home because we can't really. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to go back whenever that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, you do the good service of distinguishing between the idea of being excited to, by the way, since we are video, I will mention Danae has now completely just decided to put turtles on the screen.
I just wanted to show off some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's not like I was talking or anything, or I was trying to communicate anything.
I genuinely thought I didn't do it when Jonathan was talking because I know that Jonathan would struggle, but I thought you would have the professional fortitude.
Well, we are live streaming video now, so it is.
And I started laughing, so I don't think that
is
helped.
true. There was a little laughter involved. Anyhow, the distinction between being excited to go back and being comfortable going back is a good distinction. My excitement level is through the roof. Being comfortable is not. And when does that happen? I think it's soon. I think it's coming soon, and I'm starting to bubble. I can feel the bubbling excitement for going back and sitting in a theater and watching movies.
You should really take care of that bubbling before you go into the theater because that makes other people uncomfortable.
It's kind of the nice part of the distancing that happens in theaters right now is nobody can be within 6 feet of me anyway, so I can let all the bubbles flow.
I'm just really curious what the cinematic experience is going to be though moving forward.
Sure.
Right? That's what I'm more curious. That's what I'm more interested in because I don't know that you can. The Disney one of the Disney execs talked about this a week or two ago. Can you pull that curtain back? Right? Can you once they started doing what they're doing now? Can we pull that back and not have that happen? Can HBO Max go back to not showing the movies immediately? I don't know.
Genie's out of the bottle, I think.
Yeah, Genie's out of the bottle. That's what I was trying to think.
Genie's out of the bottle.
I don't think you can put it back in.
Can't put it back in.
But maybe.
But people that really like going to the theater will still go see the movies in the theater, which is,
Yeah.
I didn't like going to the theater before.
Right.
So
which is totally fair.
I am theaters until they started assigning seats that you could purchase your ticket with a seat number assigned, my anxiety level dropped significantly. and I think I've talked about this before, so I apologize if it's repetitive, but I was raised to like around this tension and anxiety with any time you had to be somewhere by a specific time so that you could get a seat. I hate that feeling so much because it's just nothing but anxiety until you get sat down, and then there's the calming down, but then there's also potentially like disappointment about where you're sitting, etc. So when the seat assignments came, I was so relieved because you could just go on, you knew exactly where you're going to go. You could show up whatever time you wanted to show up, and there was your seat and you didn't have to worry.
Yeah.
That changed the theater going experience for me greatly. And that's only been something that I've enjoyed for like maybe a year. And considering how few movies I go to watch every year, I haven't really had a ton of time enjoying them enough to be like, I'm going to go to the theater. And I also don't think of it as a place for me to go to relax, to unwind, to, enjoy myself. So that's one thing. Second thing is same thing that Jonathan said, and Aaron as well. There's just this anxiety that I'll probably have for a while. So I don't know that I'm going to go back to the theater, honestly. I think I would rather pay $30 to stay at home and watch it on my big screen TV than go to the theater, because there's something about that experience I don't enjoy. Also, if I'm in the theater, it's usually because I'm reviewing something now. That was when I was on Sif Pop. I only went to the theater as often as I did because we were doing that show. And then I resigned from that show because it was stressing me out so much. And now I do it for a job. But I get to do a lot of that from just like, it's sent to my house. I can watch it in the comfort of my own environment, and I'm having to stop and go. I say that because I also like to be able to take notes, and it's hard to take notes in the theater. So for me, I don't go there for fun. I go there because I have to. So I don't know that I'll be excited about it. I think I'll be nervous about it.
You brought up the anxiety thing again, and I have thought about it a lot. And honestly, I'm scheduled for my second shot Monday, and so I will be completely vaccinated. And I still will have that anxiety until I know everyone, if they want, has had the opportunity to get vaccinated. Once everybody has that opportunity, if you decide not to, then you're making a decision, right? And then I'm not responsible, morally for, what happens to you at that point if you've made that decision not to protect yourself. So I think something does change there where I apologize. I use the word anxiety. I actually don't think that's true for me. I don't want to throw that word around lightly, but I will be more comfortable at that point when I am both vaccinated and know that anybody who wants to be vaccinated has also been vaccinated. That's a big deal for me. And seeing some of the studies about how the vaccinations work over time.
Can I show you something?
Of course, Danae. Right. We're on video.
So I'm sitting in front of my window. You can tell, right? Mm-hmm. I just want to show you. My curtain looks like the coronavirus, and it's bothering me now. Look at that. That's all I see.
It looks like a sun. It looks like the sun. It's
It's a bohemian coronavirus, and I can't unsee it, and I'm just staring at it all the time.
All right, let's move on.
We were talking about Corona. It makes sense.
It does. Let's move on.
Bye, guys.
No, we can't go yet. We can't go
I'm
yet.
not kicking out the video, people. I'm just trying to finish the segment for the podcast.
But wait. Jonathan has to say happy birthday. Happy birthday voice.
Guys, let's move on to Beyond the Sins. Thank you. That's all I needed to do.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wildest dream.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Let's take a look at something else from the world of pop culture that we've seen recently. Danae wants to go first. I can tell by the look on her face.
I want to recommend a show for you guys. I'm so excited. It's called WandaVision.
You're still reeling in that energy from that live chat. I can tell it's like coursing through your veins.
I loved it. It was really hard to only choose 3 things to put up on screen, though.
Yeah.
So that will be difficult, but I think I did a pretty good job.
Listen,
you did.
I think we'll continue to do that for our Sin Club members every once in a while, so it'll be fun.
You wanted us to talk about Beyond the Sins, right? Because you're going literally back to.
No, I can just tell.
Are you recommending WandaVision then?
I'm literally recommending WandaVision.
Cool. Nice. I thought that was a joke. I didn't think we had gotten there yet. No, okay, go ahead. Talk about WandaVision.
No, I know a lot of people are skipping over the comments on it. because you guys are wanting to watch it and not be spoiled on it. I am not going to be talking about spoilers, but I do think that it is worth watching. It is now the final aired this morning, and I think it was done well.
Yep.
I think they put bows on things. I think they left enough mystery in it that it will tie into obviously what's going to be coming later with movie tie-ins and things like that they've already talked about. That's not like a spoiler, because they literally are like, you must watch WandaVision before you watch this movie. So yeah, I know that it seems a little bit of a cop-out-ish because I don't have something new, but I think that most people would really like it. Even people who are just a little bit of an MCU fan. It's just quirky enough and different enough that I think it would be enjoyable. I guess I would not recommend it to people who get really weirded out about the term witch or witchcraft.
Sure.
So
yeah,
that would be the only warning. Oh, and people, nope, I can't spoil that stuff. But
well, my non-spoiler thoughts are I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I think it's worth
really
watching. I
agree.
really do. And especially now that it's bingeable, like now is when you can go binge it because it's all out there. So
yeah, I saw a few people commenting like that on tweets and stuff, saying that like now that it's over, I can watch it. You know,
I would say my husband stayed through the end credits for every single episode because I forgot which ones were the ones that had the end credit scene. So just do like, I think the end credits start at the Halloween one.
Oh, no, it's just 7, 8, and 9. It's just the last 3.
Yeah. Can I tell you something funny about that? I didn't know there was an end credits on 7, and you guys kept talking about this. You guys kept saying this line. What was it?
Please stand by.
Creeper's gonna creep.
Creeper's gonna creep.
Peeper's
you
gonna
guys
peep.
kept saying
Snooper's gonna snoop.
peep. You guys kept saying that, and I was like, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm just gonna go with it. And then today, when I saw the previously on, I saw that scene. So
nice.
That's cool. So I will say though, so 7, 8, and 9 is the ones you're gonna want to stick around for just to watch the little extras, and then 9 there are multiples.
Yeah, stick around all the way to the end on 9.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. Very nice. And if shameless plug coming, if you want to hear more conversation between Danae and I, Danae is guesting on the next episode of my Sift Pop podcast. So we'll be talking about Raya the Last Dragon and WandaVision season 1.
That's funny. Right after she talked about how that show made her anxious.
That's right. Right after she talked about how she had to quit the show, I am announcing she will be joining us on the show again.
It's less pressure when I don't have to do it every week.
Yeah. Jonathan, what do you got?
Also a movie premiering the week that we're recording. It'll be a week old, obviously, when you hear this. But Hulu just released a new movie called Boss Level that I also caught this morning after I watched WandaVision. And this movie is my shit. This is an action movie version of It's taken the Groundhog Day. Have you seen it yet, Aaron?
I have not.
Okay. It's a Groundhog Day type movie, which has become a little more popular the last few years, like Happy Death Day.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I forgot the Palm Beach. Was that what that was called?
Palm Springs.
Thank you. But this is an action movie. And the interesting thing about the Groundhog Day aspect is, and the main character mentions this at the beginning of the movie, it's like he's caught on the same level of a video game and can't get out of it. And that is exactly how this movie plays.
Yeah.
And it is kind of awesome.
How does it distinguish itself from Day After Tomorrow? Because that was kind of the pitch for Day After Tomorrow, was caught in the same level of the video game kind of thing too.
Day After Tomorrow? Are you talking about the disaster movie?
Did I say the wrong movie? Live, Die, Repeat is what they ended up calling. Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yes,
Edge of
correct.
Tomorrow.
I said the wrong
I
title.
thought you were talking about the Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, no, that is what I mentioned. But no, I meant Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, it is similar to that in a sense, other than like, it's treated like a video game level. Like, it's like he has these certain, he has to get past all these different villains, basically.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, and he keeps getting to a certain point, then he'll get killed, and then he figures out how to get past that point.
Right.
So it's very much like playing a video game, which I think is the difference, right?
Yeah.
Frank Grillo is the main character in this, plays the main character in this movie. I love Frank Grillo. He's had a very good career. He's never really just burst out like on A-list status by any means, but like he's done Purge movies. He was in Captain America, the last couple Captain America movies. He was Crossbones. He's like, I don't know. He's just this real grizzled, like tough guy actor. It's like, he's I love The Rock, but The Rock is very polished and just a different type of action star, right? Frank Grillo feels more like something we don't have these anymore, right? This is like Charles Bronson or like Lee Marvin or Steve McQueen, whatever. Like someone like that. He feels a little more old school, which I find really fascinating. And he's a good actor and he's funny and he's just, I don't know. He's just really fucking cool. Like, I don't, he just seems like a guy that he seems like he would be that way in real life too, but I don't know. But he really gets to stand out in this because he's in like every scene. He's the lead actor and he just kills it. Absolutely kills it. And that's why I think you're going to enjoy this movie, because you enjoy going on the journey with him and experiencing it. And I don't want to give away anything that happens. I will say the villain is played by Mel Gibson. I don't know if that's a sticking point for anybody. He is actually quite good in that role, but I absolutely get it. I mean, he's made very well known what kind of person he can be. And I know it offends people that he's still getting acting jobs and stuff like that. I don't know how to address that, but he is in the movie if that's a problem. But I do think it's worth watching, especially just for Frank Grillo. Naomi Watts is in the movie. She plays a really fun role. Will Sasso is actually really good as like a henchman. Fun. And all the villains are really fun. Like all the like kind of like the bad guys. It's just an interesting mix. It's directed by Joe Carnahan. So if you've seen like Smoking Aces,
right? Okay,
it kind of has that feel to it. But I think it's much better than that. At least to me. All right. He also did the A-Team. He did The Gray. He's done a bunch of movies, a lot of action movies and stuff. So it's got a good pedigree. I don't know how much they spent on it, but it feels like a pretty big movie. I don't know if it was supposed to be at the theater initially. I mean, I know Frank Grillo is typically not someone starring in a movie in the theater, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But if they didn't spend that much money on it, it looks like they did. But this just feels like one of those, like Aaron and I have talked about, like that, like those 90s summer action movies. Like that's just kind of what this feels like. And
we're getting a little resurgence, right? Like you've got the Gerard Butler one that just came out too.
Which I still got to see. Greenland. Yeah, I need to watch that this weekend.
Felt a lot that way. So,
but I had a blast with it. So if you've got access to Hulu, it's like an hour and 40 minutes or something. It's nice. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. Coming with the Mel Gibson warning if you need that.
Trigger warning. So, movie does include scenes of Mel Gibson. Okay, we have got Hulu, Disney Plus, and I'm going with HBO Max.
Nice.
I saw recently, and I'm late on this, so I know many people have already seen this, but I finally got around to seeing David Byrne's American Utopia on HBO Max. Now, if you don't know what this is, David Byrne was a key member of the Talking Heads, I believe.
Yes, one of my favorite
This
bands.
Is Not My Beautiful Wife is probably the most common song you would know from them.
And another really famous concert film that Jonathan Demme directed, which all of a sudden I forgot the name of it. but it is the Talking Heads.
I believe...
Stop making sense.
I believe, did Spike Lee direct or just produce this?
I think he directed this, right?
I think he did. I think he directed this. It is a concert film. David Byrne, I think this was on Broadway. I think he had a theater in New York. I could be wrong about that part. I haven't recently researched it. But he definitely was selling out shows. People were loving it. Spike Lee decided to direct the film version. And it really is just a really well-shot version of this show. And what I love about this show that he put together is how completely organic it feels. Have you seen it, Jonathan?
No, unfortunately I haven't. It's on my list.
His band is incredible. And they are all free from they all play all sorts of different percussion instruments, but everybody is free to roam around. Nobody is tied into a certain part of the stage. And all of what you are hearing is played live at this show. So the incredible arrangements that you're hearing, all that kind of stuff is actually happening from these creative people as opposed to like a track. And he even says, like, I'm not opposed to tracks, like they can be helpful and useful for people, but like my mind was blown at how good this show is and how organic it feels. In fact, to kind of give you an idea, they take one of the songs and they just march around the auditorium. Like they're completely off stage, like all the drums, all the guitars, all like they just march in a line. They become a marching band, in that moment. It's kind of really, I don't know. I found it really beautiful, really fascinating. I found some of the places it went meaningful and emotional. I did not realize I was a David Byrne fan, but I realize now I'm actually a David Byrne fan. I think this is incredible stuff. So I would highly recommend it. It's David Byrne's American Utopia on HBO Max. So there you go. That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you are subscribed. Go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, make sure you label it very well and then mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, Suzie, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy Johnny Appleseed Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Oh, hi, old donut. Hi, Danae. You're a little crusty this morning.
Yeah, don't judge.
But I kind of want to eat you.
No, don't eat me.
Shit.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Thanks for asking.
About a surprise?
Wonderful. Great. Let's do it. However, I do want to let you know that somebody accidentally thought that was for the BTS Discord and copy pasted your note into the BTS going, we're expecting a surprise this morning. Oops. Oh, wait, was that supposed to be on Patreon?
Yes, it sure was.
So I don't know what I'm doing for Beyond the Sins today.
Somewhere beyond my wildest dreams.
You're going to do, here's my Beyond the Sins about this song called Beyond My Wildest Dreams. I quite like it.
Right beside a Fraggle Rock lunchbox.
Ooh, I like Fraggle Rock. That's coming back.
Cast your cares away. Is it really?
Like everything else.
Cast your cares away.
I mean, at this point,
Worries
are you
for
shocked?
Another day. Let the music play. Down a Fraggle Rock.
I'm just waiting for the Grape Ape
boop, bop,
reboot.
Beep, bop, boop.
Grape Ape.
Grape Ape. Grape Ape.
Snagglepuss.
Oh my gosh.
Exit stage left even.
I saw a lot of people complaining about Paramount not just putting everything on that. But I still don't think people understand that things are licensed to other streamers and companies.
Right.
And they don't even own their entire library. That's what somebody else was saying. Like Universal apparently owns a lot of early Paramount titles. But then again, why isn't Universal releasing them on their shit? But whatever. I mean,
so here's the thing: it's
just all very confusing.
The different streaming companies have talked about their different strategies, and I think it is HBO that has specifically said we're not giving our entire library at one time. We're moving things in and out. It's similar to
Disney's doing the same thing.
It's similar to the McRib, right? Like this idea that you can kind of generate interest by saying coming this month, to our streaming service.
The McRib.
And so I personally think that the more of your library you can put on there, the better. And I think as the streaming wars intensify, I think we'll see more and more of the various libraries just showing up.
And at some point, there's going to have to be mergers, right? Because
not murders.
No, not well. Maybe those two,
or it'll be like I still think it's going to be like a cable kind of package where it's like some company will make a deal. Like maybe it'll be Xfinity or no, well, Xfinity has some random company will come in and make a deal, and it'll be like for $49.99 a month, you get 3 of the A-list subscriptions.
Yeah.
And then you get like 30 of the B-list subscriptions, right? It'll be something like that.
Isn't that kind of what YouTube TV is doing?
And then you can YouTube TV is cable. Like it's just cable on the internet.
Just straight up cable.
You're just getting like
internet.
TBS and TNT and stuff like that. I'm talking like streaming packages. So you'll get like you can choose from like Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, whatever they put up there at the big ones. You get 3 of those, and you get 20 of the smaller stuff like Poker Go and Criterion and movie.
I think...
And then there'll be like different levels, like,
I think that's a distinct possibility.
Something like that.
I think it is more likely, personally, that it'll just be merges. I think eventually there will just be like 4 or 5 big companies.
On the streaming level.
On the streaming level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because honestly, the interface to be able to access all of your content already exists in several forms, right? Apple has a version of it. Google has a version of it. Roku has a version of it. Like any of these set-top ideas have, like, I can search for a movie title and it'll tell me which of my streaming services it's on, and
absolutely.
I just push play.
I have Roku. Yeah, it does that on my Roku.
Right. So the package part is already, that part of it is already kind of available. So yeah, I just think like Poker Go will get bought by some. Well, it's like who just bought Paramount bought the WWE, right?
I think so.
One of them did. It may have been Peacock, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody buys Netflix at some point.
Ooh,
like,
that would be
the
interesting.
only reason I say that is because Netflix is hemorrhaging money. So you think at some point there's got to be like a, if they ever have any kind of setback, like they're going to just lose money like crazy.
The only company that's really cash flow positive is Apple, right? Like everybody else is playing the debt game. As far as I
feel
know.
like, I don't know, but I don't know. It'd be interesting if somebody like bought Net. Because Hulu's already owned, like that got bought. So,
yeah, Disney's got Hulu,
or maybe Fox always kind of had a stake. I don't know how that worked, but
well, the Hulu thing was an even stake between ABC, which Disney owned, Fox, and NBC, and once
NBC pulled out, basically.
Well, once Disney bought Fox. They then owned Fox's share of Hulu, which gave them majority ownership of Hulu, so they can do whatever they want.
Because I think ABC stuff's still on Hulu, but I don't know about NBC because obviously NBC has Peacock, and which is technically free if you want ads. But...
And I don't. All right, so let's title it
Poop, Peep,
BTS
Pop,
Live Test.
What's that?
Look at the doggy. Look at the little doggy.
Oh my god, he's so cute.
He's the puppers. He's the little puppers.
Yeah, she's 11. She's not really a puppy.
Look at the elderly dog.
WandaVision.
I heard that was the original recording.
Yeah, it was the original theme song right there.
Man, I got to tell you, I felt that day Aaron told me he had to tell you you wrote the wrong episode, the script for it. I know this wasn't that bad, but when you commented on my tab the other day, I was terrified to tell you. But I was getting these notifications and you were commenting on sins I had removed. So I was like, how is she seeing these? And then I was like, oh no. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at my tab. It had like 13 comments. I was
my God. I was like,
and how shitty does she think this script is? Like, because it was just me and it was like, whatever I had written. I don't know.
And I didn't even notice that it was on the Jonathan tab at all. Didn't even notice it. It just gives me something else to think about. Like I have to make sure that I'm on the right tab.
I loved your real time typing into wow. Yeah. Wow. I was like, oh no.
How awesomely gray is my hair getting? That's
pretty cool.
I love going gray. That is so fun.
Yeah, it's still not for me, although it is on my goatee.
I'm starting to see a real wave in the hair on like the top of my head, and that's like
you're getting like what do they call that? Like peppered or
like the skunk spot.
The skunk spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's not attractive. That doesn't sound good.
That doesn't sound good at all.
I just heard it called that. I don't know.
You went from the salt and pepper wave to the skunk spot.
That's like don't they call that a silver fox? And then Aaron's like, I think it's like silverback ass or something.
For some people, it's a silver fox look. For me, it's more skunk spot. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. The other thing I was going to mention is my wife is having this experience right now because she's back to school and taking classes. And every time she'll take a test, she'll tell me, I did really good. I got 119 out of 125. I'm like, dude, you're killing it. You're slaying it. And then she'll get an email a couple days later. Your grade has been adjusted. It is now 125 out of 125. And what's happening, we think, is she's being used as the curve. Like her grade is the highest grade, and so
probably.
Everybody's getting
means.
bumped up, whatever. So she's feeling this responsibility of like, should I do worse? Like, am I hurting people's grades?
No,
like,
slay it, Jen.
But that's
slay.
weird though, because they usually don't do that if they have A's. Like, it's typically like if basically everyone got a B or lower.
Well, one of them
they'll bump it up.
One of them was above the points. One of them got readjusted to like 140 out of 130 or something like that.
That's cool.
And so it's like we're just trying to think like, how bad is the rest of the class doing that you have to be bumped up to 10 points over the possible points?
I thought you were about to say she's like going back in college mode, like she's staying out late.
Well, she is staying up late, but
she's like, God,
she's out binge drinking and sorority parties, and I'm just
you're saying stuff, and she's like, "What are you, my dad?"
Exactly.
I got it under control, Aaron.
That never stopped. I've got a nice giant Toblerone, Danae. I could eat that, for my lunch.
Oh, is that for Danae?
Yeah, that's Danae's Toblerone that she got sent.
Well, we know how you feel about eating other people's candy, so
listen, there was no name on it.
He was pretty insistent that there was.
Oh, you call 30% insistent? He said he was 30 to 60% sure. I don't call that insistent.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
I guess it's some level of confidence.
It is some level of confidence. I can't assure you, I did look it over for a name. So it either came off at some point.
Or he ate it.
Or I confused it for a Rolo and just swallowed it whole.
Swallowed it whole.
I am 30 to 60% sure that I did not swallow the name tag.